Is there such a thing as a soulmate? Well, no, not really. I know that really goes against our thinking today. We have such an over-romanticized concept of marriage, that there's that special, super perfect person out there. And if I can just find that super perfect person, I'll be happy. And everybody's running around trying to find, you know, that one person. And you see it in all the movies, particularly the chick flicks, the romantic flicks. It makes for a great movie, watching two people try and find each other. But the truth is, it's not based in reality. There is no special one person that's going to make you happy. And the church doesn't really help out much better either, because we come along and then we spiritualize the same nonsense by saying, God created a special person just for you. You need to find just that right person that God created for you. I mean, how insane is that? First of all, the Bible never says anything like that. And secondly, is this not the epitome of selfishness? Think what we're saying. God in heaven created another human being just to make you happy. I mean, if that is not the epitome of selfishness, I don't know what is. God didn't make someone else just for you. That's ludicrous. What is the key to a successful relationship? It's not about finding the right person. A successful relationship is based on two people doing the right things. And if you'll do the right things, you'll succeed. It's that simple. If you don't, you'll fail. And that's just equally as simple. The reason why people are struggling so hard today is not because they haven't found the right person. It's because they're doing all the wrong things. So I think the whole emphasis of trying to find that special cosmic person is a big mistake. That's not to say that single people shouldn't be thoughtful in the process. You want to find a good person. I mean, don't marry an idiot. People do that all the time, particularly women who think, well, I can change him. You know, don't think like that. If it acts like a skunk, it walks like a skunk, and it smells like a skunk, it's a skunk. Move on. You know, don't marry obvious people that are nothing but problems in your life. So be as thoughtful as you can, but don't get caught up in this idea of it has to be that one special person today. It's just not good thinking. It's certainly not biblically sound, and it doesn't even make common sense. Find a good person. If you'll do the right things, virtually any two people in the world can succeed. That's the power of principles like love and patience and long-suffering, which means to suffer a long time, of forgiveness. All that stuff, those principles are so powerful that they'll work in virtually any relationship if people will implement them. But they're not doing it today. They're ignoring these principles, hoping that it should just be automatic and easy if I find the right person. So they're out there chasing, trying to find the right person, thinking that, you know, I've finally found the right one, and then they get married, and then they're miserable. And they'll come to someone like me and say, Pastor, I made a mistake. I said, no, you're making a mistake if you're thinking that way. It's not about that. The reason people are expecting marriage to be easy is because of this ridiculous thinking of a soulmate. The concept is, if you'll find the right person, then it's easy. Then they'll automatically know what you need in life, and you'll be on the same cosmic wavelength, meeting each other's needs, which is just ridiculous. If you want someone to meet your needs, you need to communicate those needs to someone. Don't sit around thinking, gee, if he really loved me, I wouldn't have to tell him. Of course you have to tell him. Nobody can tell. Nobody's walking around with ESP in their brains, particularly men. Unless you happen to be married to a really, really sensitive person, they're not going to know. And there's even people who are real sensitive who still miss stuff. I mean, you know, marriage is hard. It's always been hard. And the Bible is clear about it. It's not like the Bible's holding out on us. In my seminar, I read those 2 verses of the scripture where it says, it's good for a man not to get married. And then he goes on and says, because those who marry will have trouble in this life. That's the Bible's take on it. No one said that it was going to be easy. In fact, it's very clear. It's hard. It can be difficult. Now, the alternative is what? Being single all your life? It's not like that's a picnic. The truth is, life is hard, period. All of life is hard. People today who are trying to expect life to be easy don't get it, and they struggle in life. Not only do they expect their marriages to be easy, they expect raising their kids to be easy. Here's a crazy concept. They think their jobs should be easy, that all their relationships with everyone in their life should be easy. Going to church should be easy. Everyone should always be nice to them. It's all based on some form of selfishness at some level. Life is not easy. It's never been easy. But if you want to succeed, it's worth the work. If you want to get paid, you have to do the work. If you'll do the work, you'll get paid. You can't just walk into a company at random up to the payroll office and say, I'd like a check. Well, no, you didn't do anything. Yeah, but that's not love. I'm going to a Christian company. I mean, how crazy is this? This is the way people live. They expect payoff in life, payoff in their relationships, payoff with their kids, payoff with their families, payoff with their churches, but they don't want to really do anything. If you find the right church, the right people, all that should come naturally. It's nonsense. Is it okay to have expectations in marriage? Sure, that's only normal. That's natural. Nobody comes to the altar thinking, gee, I hope we'll have an average life. Nobody comes to the altar thinking, gee, I hope we fail. I mean, everybody comes with the highest of expectations, and that's fine. Just let them be realistic expectations. Don't let them be foolish expectations. Don't expect that this one man is going to meet all the emotional needs of your life. I mean, no man is wired for that. A lot of times I run into women who are so frustrated because their husband isn't their very best friend all the time, wanting to do everything with them. I mean, no one person is wired to do that, particularly your husband. Go out, have some girlfriends, have a life, get involved in church, get involved in other things. No one man is designed to meet all of your emotional needs. That would be unrealistic. Men do the same thing. A lot of guys come into marriage thinking, well, this will be great. I get to have all the sex I want whenever I want it, Hello? Not likely to happen. Again, that's an unrealistic expectation. Now, can you have an expectation of a great sex life? Well, of course. But, everything just has to be based in reality. A lot of people's frustration is because they have such high expectations that are virtually impossible to be achieved in marriage. Marriage is not heaven. All right? When you die, then you get to go to heaven. We're still on earth, and there's imperfections, and there's struggles, and there's frustrations. Welcome to life. And it's not like God didn't warn us that it would be difficult. Life is difficult, but it's wonderful. And it's great. So just have the best of anticipation, the best of expectations, set the best of goals. Just don't set them so high or so unrealistically that it actually winds up destroying and discouraging you. Yeah, if you go into marriage thinking that marriage is a 50-50 proposition, you'll fail. You'll absolutely fail. Marriage is a 100% proposition. If you go in trying to think, well, I'm going to give half and wait for the other person to give half back, and who sets that measurement? Where do you draw the line? How do you determine when something's half? And what are you going to do? You hit a certain point and then you start holding back on your affection? Start holding back on your money? Start holding back on your time? I'm sorry, honey. I've given you, whatever allotment I have for the day, and then move on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's no such thing as a 50-50 deal. It's 100% both ways. Do I really have to talk to my spouse about things that do not interest me? Yes, of course you do. That's just common courtesy. If someone starts talking to you in any discussion, anywhere, you don't suddenly just go, not interested, and walk away. That would be rude. That would be insulting. I mean, why couples do that to each other is horrifying. I mean, just show common courtesy. If your spouse is talking to you about something you don't really care about, at a minimum, just be polite and respond. And, you know, now if at some point it becomes so horrifying, then I suppose you can say something. I'll do that to my wife. I mean, she frequently will discuss things with me that I could not possibly care less about. You know, something she saw at the store or this or that. Who cares? But saying, gee, who cares, is a formula for disaster. I try and be nice, and I try and be polite, and if it's something that continues on and on and on, I'll at some point just say, you know, please, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm not interested in what you're talking about. And then she'll slug me or something. And then we can still laugh about it and move on. But yeah, just show common courtesy. Men who respond to their wives in rude ways and say, I'm not interested in that, you know, and be insulting. And then these are the same men who complain, I wonder how come I'm not getting any sex. Well, because you're a nitwit. That's why. Be nice. Be polite. Yes, you can and should discuss issues that are not of interest to you at all. Why is communicating so hard now that we're married when before we got married there were no communication problems? Well, because when you were dating, that wasn't real life. I mean, dating is the biggest bogus part of life. I mean, everybody's telling everybody what they want to hear, and everybody's living in this false drug-induced state of romance. It's not real life. You don't really discover life until you put on the ring and you really commit to each other and you start living life together. That's when the real challenges come in. And everybody has these challenges. And because you're so close to each other, it can get difficult at times. But, you know, there's nothing wrong. A lot of relationships are like that, even with your children. I mean, there's people who have children who are just very problematic, very, you know, troublesome and don't want to behave, but then take those same kids and put them with someone else, send them over to the neighbors or to an uncle or something, and suddenly they're the most well-behaved kids in the world, and you think, what's the deal? How come you don't behave that way with me? Well, because they're not with them all the time. When you're with somebody all the time, it just gets harder. There's, you know, everything's so connected to everything, and at some point, it gets to be a struggle. But that's normal. Why can't my spouse just say what they mean? Because very few people speak only after they've completely thought through what they wanted to say. I mean, that's part of communication. You start talking, you don't really know what you want to say. You don't really know how you feel about things. Again, just common courtesy. When you're talking to your spouse, don't holler at them and say, well, just get to the point. Why don't you just say what you mean? Well, they don't know. They're talking it through. That's normal. Discussing things, bouncing ideas off of, finding someone else. Even, you know, in my relationships around the office and in the church, I frequently have to bring someone in and just start talking it through, kicking ideas back and forth. What about this? What about that idea? What about that idea? And that's how you start coming to what you really feel about a particular situation. So to get on a spouse because they're not quite sure what they mean yet, you know, let me know and then we'll talk, is very rude and highly unrealistic. That's how people discover how they feel. They talk it through. When I tell women that they need to take from a man, it's not like hold out your hand and take it like they're giving it to you. I mean, plunge your hand into their chest and rip out their heart. I mean, you've got to go get it. They're not going to give it to you. So don't be shocked that you actually have to go and mine out stuff from your husband. Remember, women are givers, men, by and large, are takers. You want something from a guy, girls, you need to go get it. And when I share this in the seminars, I get more static from women, more defenses, more alarms go off in their heads. Because women are fundamentally very uncomfortable in taking in their relationships. But if you're going to get anything from a guy, you're going to have to break through that and learn how to take from them. What's interesting is you would think the men would be upset by this concept, but they're not. They're totally comfortable with it. Yeah, you want something from me? You need to take it. They're not bothered by it. It's the ladies, the girls. They have got this idea in their head that if he really loved me, I wouldn't have to ask, and other ridiculously positioned ideas in their heads. No, you need to go take it. Reach out, get it from him. The big question I get is, well, wait a minute, I tried that. I asked more than once, and I asked the right way, and he still wouldn't do it. Look, this is not rocket science. This is not a guaranteed formula for success every time. This is a pattern of how you deal with a man. Don't try it out once to see if it works or not, because then you'll just give up. There might be times where you will ask the right way, ask bartering, ask more than once, and he still won't do it. If he still doesn't do it, well, for the love of God, just move on. You know, if he won't fix the toilet and you've asked half a dozen times and you asked the right way, and just call a plumber. Why destroy your marriage because you can't get him to do something? Well, because I think he should. Well, there's a lot of things in life that should, but they just don't always. So don't get freaked out and discouraged that even with my formulas, they're not absolutely foolproof. They're not all foolproof. I never said that they were. These are basic concepts and ideas on how to deal with men. Given your best effort sometimes, you either just need to go do it yourself or call somebody else.